What's going on, riders? We're here at Independence Harley-Davidson, and today we'll be doing a review for new and existing riders on the Harley-Davidson Sport Glide.
Infinit Ryda. Infinit Ryda. Infinit Ryda. Infinit Ryda.
Riders and new riders, we are leaving Independence Harley-Davidson, and today I'm gonna be talking about the Sport Glide that I'm sitting here on. And I feel like the Sport Glide is going to be the perfect bike for a new rider or an existing rider who has not decided what their riding style is going to be. And I'll tell you a little bit about that here in a moment. But first, let's go over some of the basic specs. The Sport Glide is going to be one of your lower seat heights, which makes it perfect for someone with a shorter inseam or a shorter rider, because it's going to come in right at, I believe it's at 25.7 inches. And the Softail Slim that I previously reviewed was at a 25.5 inch stock seat height. So that's one of our lowest seats. This is also one of the lower seat heights, which makes it great because it gives you that lower center of gravity. And it has the Milwaukee 8 107 motor in it, which, as we all know, is an excellent motor. It runs extremely smooth. There's not much vibration coming out of this thing, and it's putting out 108 foot-pounds of torque. So as you can see here, we're on a little bit of mini twisty, some curvy roads, and this bike handles these roads tremendously well. It'll definitely lean over in a corner, and handling is very important when it comes to a newer rider as well as an existing rider. You want a bike that handles well. And this unit is sitting on the Softail frame, which is going to give you a very responsive suspension. And the fact that it has inverted performance shocks up front make it a superb ride with plenty of performance. Why do I feel like the Sport Glide is going to be the perfect bike for a newer rider or a rider who is undecisive about what their riding style is going to be? The reason for that is because of the fact that this bike is basically like a 3-in-1. You get 3 different styles all out of one bike, and it makes it almost multi-functional. On the Sport Glide, the front fairing is completely removable in less than a minute. There's just 2 clamps and you can take your front fairing off. And the luggage that's on here, or the saddlebags, are also quick release. So you can take off this front fairing as well as the luggage, and you'll have a classic cruiser looking motorcycle with some very sleek lines and an excellent ride. And then if you want it to look a little bit more sporty, you just throw your front fairing back on and you have a very sporty looking bike. Then if you want to take some longer road trips, you have the option of putting your bags on. Or if you just want to be able to have some storage area for going back and forth to work, you have those bags, which definitely have plenty of room for you to be able to put some different things in there. You can put like a small bag carrying some clothing, stuff like that if you're going on a trip, or if you're going to work, you can put some different work related items in that bag. So let's see how it handles the roundabout here. And as you can see, this bike will definitely lean over. Had to slow down. I didn't know if they were going to keep going with no hesitation. It loves the corners. It wants to go into the corners. The Sport Glide also is going to come with quite a few features and upgraded, as I call, technology. It comes with a full LED front headlight, as well as this tachometer that gives you multi options. By pressing this button right here, you see my thumb pressing on the left, you get your miles, your trip A, your trip B. You're also going to get your remaining miles to this tank of gas. You get a clock. You also get an RPM gauge and a gear indicator, which is excellent for those riders who like to know what gear they're in. I personally don't care what gear I'm in. I just go by the way the bike feels as far as how it rides. But I've been riding again for a very long time. Now, as far as throttle response, this unit is going to have a more responsive throttle than the last bikes I reviewed. It's very responsive, and it doesn't have that full quarter turn before the power kicks in on this one. The power on this unit is delivered immediately. If you're someone who has not mastered your throttle control yet, that's something you want to think about when you're looking at this unit, because as soon as you twist that throttle, power is delivered immediately. It's there for you. But that's a great thing for someone who has mastered their throttle control. It's going to give you a fun ride, and you're going to be able to get the performance out of this bike right away, as you can see here. All you have to do is turn it maybe a quarter of a turn, and it's gonna go, and that's in every gear. The power does not stop, and the bike does not stop pulling. And again, you have that Milwaukee 8107 motor in this unit, and that's the same motor that comes in the street glides and the road glides. So, you know, you have a smaller frame motorcycle with the same motor. Of course, you're going to have plenty of power, and you got a very responsive throttle. The bike handles the curves amazing, as you saw back there. I'll show you up here when we go into this corner. It'll lean over, and it makes you feel confident because it's so well balanced. It feels like it wants to be in the corners. But when you need to go straight, it's going to go in a straight line. But as you can see, when you hit the corner, it will lean over, and you can lay on the throttle in the corner, and it feels good. It feels extremely stable, and you'll feel really confident on the bike. Now, today is a fairly windy day, and I'm feeling the wind, but it's not moving this bike around at all. The bike feels planted in the road. That's one of the good things about Harleys. Because of the weight, wind doesn't really affect them too much. They're pretty much planted. I know back in the day I had an extremely light sport bike, and when I was on the highway and the wind was blowing, it was a little sketchy. Like, you feel it, and I didn't like the feel of that. So what we'll do right here is we'll test out the braking system, see how good the brakes are. Okay. All right, the brakes feel really good. I didn't shift down though. Braking doesn't feel too squishy or anything like that. You give a nice squeeze and you'll get your braking action. And to be honest, this bike is a really fun bike to ride. The bike just wants you to give it more. It wants you to ride it. It's like asking you, let's ride. And I feel like this would be an excellent bike to take up to the twisties. Probably better than some of the last ones I rode. Like, this one would be tremendously fun when it comes to the twisty, because it feels like it wants to go into those corners. Now, the bike is an extremely comfortable seating position as well. It's what you call a relaxed seating position, similar to a classic cruiser. You got forward controls, and your seat kind of scoops down a little bit to where you're sitting in the bike and not on top of the bike. So that's going to give you that lower center of gravity, which gives you a little bit more control, and that may be why it feels so good going into the corners. The stock seat also comes with a lower lumbar support, so you're not going to slide out of this thing. They designed this seat right for the amount of power it puts out when you roll on the throttle. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a performance test from a dead stop. So I'm going to slow down, and then I'm going to pull off the road and wait on the cars to go past, so I can just do a performance test to let you see what she'll do. Now, when you're a newer rider, this part here is not going to be for you. You're not going to be doing performance tests. You shouldn't be rolling on that throttle as aggressively as I'm going to be doing here in a moment. But once you develop your skills, it's going to be something that you're going to want. You're not going to want a bike that's just boring. You're going to want a bike that you can have some fun on. So let's pull over, let this car go. All right, so I'm gonna pull out, and I'm gonna just roll on the throttle and see what she puts out. Whoa! Woo! Oh yeah. So the bike definitely will perform. It has plenty of power, and it does not disappoint at all. So once you've had the bike for a while, that's the best thing. You're going to be able to have some fun on this unit, and you're going to be able to get out and ride the bike. What I'm going to do here is test out the little mini twisties before we pull back into the dealership. And out of the bikes I've reviewed so far, this is going to be my recommended unit for an indecisive rider, a rider who's not sure. And I hear that a lot from a lot of the newer riders. They're like, well, I'm not exactly sure what my riding style is going to be, or I'm not sure on what type of rides I want to do. You know, I'm just getting into motorcycling and I'm not sure what my riding style is going to be. This is going to be the perfect option for you because you got a sporty ride. You're able to take some long road trips, so it's basically a touring bike as well. It's not necessarily classified as touring, but you can do some touring on this bike, and it's great for just city riding if you're just going to be zipping around town, going back and forth to bars, because it's not one of your massive motorcycles. If you take the bags off, it's going to be a small frame, a small profile, and you're going to be able to just zip around the city and have some fun on it. So if you're looking for a bike and you're not sure of what your riding style is yet, then I strongly suggest, I'm going to actually recommend the Sport Glide. It's a great option, and it's one you won't get bored with. This is a bike you can purchase and just keep forever if you want to. Look at that. Look at how it goes in that corner. It has a very responsive suspension, as well as the handling is amazing on this bike. But you won't know that until you ride it. So once you get your endorsement, or if you already have your endorsement, swing by a Harley-Davidson dealership. If you're in the Charlotte area, come by Independence Harley-Davidson and see one of the motorcycle specialists. They'll be glad to take you out on a test ride on this baby. But it's an amazing bike. I have to give this, but I definitely want to recommend this bike to newer indecisive riders. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell notification. Check out the playlist over to the left, Harley-Davidson for new riders, and I'll see you in that next video. But it's your boy Infinit Ryda, pulling back into the dealership and signing out. Y'all stay safe, be blessed, and get out there on two wheels, people. Love y'all. Deuces.